Hey folks, welcome to the homestead. So maybe you've been thinking about getting a few chickens, but you're wondering exactly how much it costs to keep them. Well, in this video, I'm going to break that cost down so that you can decide for yourself if keeping chickens is worth it for you or not. To get into keeping chickens, you're going to have two types of expenses. The first one's going to be your startup cost, which fortunately you only have to pay for that one time. And the second will be recurring. It'd be for feed and maybe an occasional bale of straw or some pine shavings or something of that nature. And you'll have those expenses as long as you keep the chickens. To begin with, you'll need to consider the price to buy the chickens, of course. Now, you can buy day-old chicks from hatcheries and have them shipped to you. Those run you probably anywhere from around $3 or under to maybe as high as $5 each. You can also buy chickens that are already adults, maybe even old enough to lay eggs. Those will run you around $15 each in my area. It might be different depending on where that you live. Another one of the initial costs that you're going to have with chickens is to provide them with some type of coop or a structure similar to this to live in. It doesn't have to be quite this big, but you'll have to give them something to keep them dry and warm and safe from predators at night. Now, you may choose to buy something pre-manufactured. They'll price those for around $300 to $500, but you also might want to try to build something yourself, similar to what I've done here. I actually built this from pallets, and this cost me less than $50, and I'll put a link in the description box to the video of me building it in case that's something you're interested in. Of course, if you're a pretty decent carpenter and you want to spend just a little bit more, you can build something a lot nicer than that, but this one works. And you'll need a few feeders and waterers and things of that nature, but that stuff's not very expensive, and fortunately, you just have to buy it once. Now, you're going to have quite a few options when it comes to buying feed, and they'll come at different price points. This is Layer Crumble, and it's 16% protein. I'll show it to you. You can also get it in the whole pellets as well. I've just found that my chickens prefer the crumb. Now, a chicken's going to eat about 1/4 pound of food per day, and if you're buying the commercially produced food, it's going to cost you around 30 cents a pound, so that's just a little over 7 cents a day per chicken. That's not bad. If you had 10 chickens, you're looking at about 75 cents a day to feed those. Now, I don't know how much a dozen of eggs cost where you live. They're pretty expensive here, so I'm sure you'd be able to sell a few dozen eggs and help recoup some of that cost. But now, in this barrel is what I've started feeding them recently, and I've been sort of refining this. I mixed this feed myself. This has got cracked corn, it's got oats, it's got wheat in it. I use soybean meal to make up protein. I actually put just a little bit of mineral in it that I'm using for my hogs. Of course, you don't have to go through all the trouble of mixing feed like I'm doing. I'm giving this same feed to my hogs, and I can mix it for about 22 cents a pound. Now, that's not a huge difference. It's 8 cents cheaper, but when you're considering how much hogs actually eat, that is quite a bit. But now, if I were just mixing it for just a few chickens, I don't know that I'd go through the trouble. You can feed table scraps or garden scraps to your chickens, and you can free range them, but that needs to be in addition to a good nutritious ration of feed every single day. So let's talk about some of these numbers. In my area, I can buy a 50-pound bag of chicken feed that's already got everything that they need in it for between $15 and $16. If you live close to a Tractor Supply or Rural King or something like that, check those. But if you have got a feed store or a mill close to you, I'd recommend reaching out to them first, because a lot of times you can get a better price there. It's going to run around 30 cents per pound at a feed store where I live. And like I said, I'm mixing my own feed for just 22 cents a pound, and that's not a huge difference if you're just feeding it to a few chickens. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm keeping hogs. And another thing that you have to consider when you buy a 50-pound bag that's already ready to go, that's all you have to worry about storing. If you start to mix your own feed, you're going to have to do maybe at least 200 or 300 pounds at a time, because you have to get those ingredients in 50-pound bags. A few quick facts that you should consider. One, if you buy day-old chicks, they're not going to start laying eggs until they're at least 16 weeks old. Some will take longer than that. Some may take as long as 20 weeks. Different breeds of chickens will lay a different amount of eggs a year. They're not always going to lay an egg every single day. One of the variety that we like are these Barred Rocks. They're known to be good layers, and I think you can average around 250 eggs a year with one of those. When the day started getting shorter and we started having less daylight, our chickens started slowing down a lot on their egg production. They eventually quit, and they haven't started back yet. We're hoping any day that they'll start laying again. But there is going to be a period during the winter time that you may not get any eggs, so you need to consider that. I'm going to share a link in the description box below this video to the chicken coop build that I did, and it'll show you exactly how that you can put something together with pallets if you're looking for an inexpensive way. So go ahead and watch that. If you would give this video a thumbs up, Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you in the next one. God bless you.